Anti-feminist game Black Myth Wukong has triggered a buying spree for components. Yeah, this is just unbelievable. So, Black Myth Wukong, a game pegged as anti-feminist, when it really is not, but it did require that people who reviewed the game could not discuss feminist propaganda in the game or woke stuff, and feminists were pissed off with it. Well, now the game has triggered a buying spree for gaming components. This is absolutely fantastic. Watch it as a video to fully understand what the implications are for this game and how this is going to continue to change the gaming landscape and reality for men, because this affects men significantly. And now let's just go ahead and jump right into the video.
Now we turn to a smash hit that has captivated many globally. The video game titled Black Myth Wukong. From game consoles to faster and more advanced computer hardware, Wukong has triggered a buying spree for more gaming-related components in China. While the boom plays into China's desire to boost domestic consumption, as CNA's Lauren Ong finds out, it may even have an impact on the chip war with the US in the long term.
For his peers, Bai Zhebang is in an enviable position. With a job at this internet cafe, the 21-year-old's got access to advanced tech that lets him play China's first blockbuster video game, Black Myth Wukong, in its full potential.
跟家里面的不一样，然后家里面的话只有笔记本，配置的话没有这种主机电脑性能要强，想要升级的意愿吧，暂时是可能各种情况，经济还有来回挪动的话，玩家也不方便。
Inspired by the 16th century novel Journey to the West, Wukong players control the monkey, who is on a quest to gather relics to unravel his destiny as a legendary hero, against a backdrop rich with ancient Chinese heritage and culture. Within a week of its launch, it hit the gaming top seller charts and outperformed other big-budget names in areas like concurrent players and copies sold. Lauded for its impressive visuals and attention to detail, what can make or break the game's experience on PCs are these graphics processing units, or GPUs. They handle complex calculations to render high-end graphics and can cost a few $100s on average. Playing without them is nearly impossible, with severe lags if the specs aren't up to par.
其实大部分游戏像普通的407、304都能带得动，可能黑神话它的画质要求比较高，所以就要可能40以上才能带得动。
While there are gamers like Zhebang who have turned to internet cafes, there are also many others who have upgraded their computers just to play the game, boosting sales of machines several times more expensive than a normal desktop.
我昨天的销量啊，就是卖的比较多一点，比较大的。
According to local news reports, graphic card sales have up by 200% on year on the day of the game's launch. Posts with this hashtag saying the game has boosted sales of graphic cards has been viewed over 20 million times. PS5 consoles too and other related electronics have seen sales increase by at least 80% on year in the days leading up to the game's debut. The game itself costs about $60.
Which is quite a lot of money for most people in China, but you see the number of players. Suddenly people realize, wow, people have the money if they want to spend it, right? Others may want to get their PCs ready with various upscaling technologies. And also another thing I wanted to point out, the best GPUs and all the upgrading technologies.
So guys, here's some crazy stuff. The game actually sold 10 million copies in the first 3 days, and as of 9/3, so as of September 3rd, 2024, because the game's only been out like 2 weeks now, the Black Myth Wukong has now topped $850 million in gross revenue on Steam. So just on Steam alone, this is not counting revenue. This is madness, guys. This is madness. This is not counting the console versions. This is not counting PlayStation. On just Steam alone, Black Myth Wukong has already topped $850 million in gross revenue. This is insane stuff. It has been 2 weeks since the launch of Black Myth Wukong. Analysts have shared more insights into the game's performance on Steam. This is just Steam. And it has reached $852.4 million in gross revenue before platform fees and taxes. On Steam, since it launched on October 20th, according to new data from VC Insights, this brings its estimated sales on the platform to over 17.8 million units. Oh my gosh. Guys, the game has sold on Steam by itself 17.8 million units. Oh my gosh. This is, keep in mind, the developers of this game, when they set out review codes, they barred the reviewers from discussing feminist propaganda, specifically discussing the events of 2020, so COVID, things related to China and so forth. They said, you're going to have to review the game just based on the game's merit. Talk only about the game, talk about the performance, talk about how the game plays, talk about what you enjoy about the game, talk about the visuals, what a game journalist supposed to do. And there's a lot of uproar over this. A lot of feminists said that the game was anti-feminist and it discriminated against women. Keep in mind, it doesn't do any of those things. The game is actually quite beautiful. It has some incredible visuals in it. Well, guys, this is massive. This is massive. And we're seeing that all of these games that are coming out this year, Black Myth Wukong, Stellar Blade, are just going absolutely insane. Like, they're doing well. And feminist games like Concord, that just came out. It literally just came out like a week or so ago. That game it's within like a week. It's 3 days even. I think it's 3 days. The game is already being shut down by Sony. They're going to lose like $200 million or more on the game. And this is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, gaming loss ever. And it was basically a feminist game. Overwatch meets feminism. So all the characters were diverse and so forth. And now, and it's absolutely doing terrible. Like, they're going to be refunding everyone. It costs $200 million to make, over $100 million to make, and they would need to make like $200 or $300 million just to break even. And they're screwed. They're going to lose massive amounts of money on this game now. Massive amounts of money. Like, this is horrendous. The developer that made the game is firing people rapidly, evidently. Like, are going to, it's like there's massive layoffs going on now. This is insane. Okay, so all of those people that thought that woke propaganda was going to sell are now losing their jobs. DEI's, all of these DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion departments, they're being shut down. Microsoft fired their entire DEI department. They literally wiped out the entire diversity, equity, inclusion department. This is a company that is now specifically saying that they're no longer hiring people who are men who are Caucasian, and focused on hiring specifically people of color. And they've now fired their entire DEI department. I want you guys to think about that very, very carefully. So let's see here. So while the platform says its estimates are within a 5% margin of error on an aggregate level, they may still differ from the actual numbers. Game Science itself found that Black Myth Wukong has sold 10 million copies across all platforms in its first 3 days. So that was in the first 3 days. The game has been out for 2 weeks now, and it's estimated to have sold 17.8 million copies on just Steam. That's not on that's not across all platforms. That's just on Steam. That's not on PlayStation 5, for example. And I don't think the game's out on Xbox yet. So guys, it has a lot of growth left to do. So it's already almost at 20 million copies sold. In a post on X, VG Insights shared more data on the game. China currently accounts for 76% of the sales on Steam, compared to more than 80% at launch. But keep in mind, China has like over 1 billion people. The share of other countries is gradually increasing, with the US in second place at 6% total. Hong Kong remains third at 1% share. When it comes to player overlap, Black Myth Wukong owners are likely to play games like Wo Long Fantasy Dynasty. So I mean, yeah, this is massive. And they said, and as VG Insights rightly noted, Black Myth Wukong was not an unexpected hit, as the game generated over 4 million wishlists on Steam months before its launch. Massive. While Black Myth Wukong is also available on PlayStation 5, there is barely any performance data on Sony's platform. So guys, it may have sold a lot. Last week, Simon Carroll shared that the game had sold around 3 million PS5 player, had around 3 million PS5 players, with China accounting for 2/3 of the total. Bloomberg also noted that the PlayStation 5 was the best-selling consumer electronic product on Alibaba for the week leading up to Wukong's launch, indicating a strong interest in game science's breakthrough title. So if you count the PlayStation sales, which are around 3 million, and the sales on Steam, which are at 17.8, that would bring us to almost 21 million copies of this game sold in just 2 weeks, guys. Almost 21 million. Those are mind-blowing numbers. That is absolutely unbelievable. Guys, people are tired. Men are tired of the propaganda in games. They're tired of the nonsense. They just want to play games. They just want to be left alone. They just want to live their lives in peace. But something interesting about peace is that peace is something that you actually have to fight for. Peace, despite what people truly understand and know, peace is not free. You have to fight for peace. You have to earn peace. Peace is something that people have fought for, and it's something that we're going to have to continue to fight for. You actually have to fight to be free. Freedom isn't free. All right? Unfortunately, in Western society now, we only have the illusion of freedom. We are not actually free. That is something we actually have to fight for. But this is just such a massive thing, guys. Concord has been shut down. Concord, it came out and it's going to cost Sony tons of money. It was an exclusive for the PlayStation 5. And like I said, this was a massive title. It took 6 to 8 years to develop the game, so almost 10 years potentially to develop this game. I mean, it's just a wonderful warning sign. If you look at what's happening with shows like The Accolade from Disney, they're being canceled. Basically, these networks these companies are beginning to run out of money to produce this crap. So basically, if no one's watching it, and it's not resulting in people and kids buying toys and products and so forth, because that's really the main purpose with these things. The toy market is still massive. The collector's market is still massive. Merchandise is still massive. But if no one wants to buy Star Wars merch, if no one wants to subscribe to Disney Plus to watch the series, because these productions are expensive. They cost like $100, $200, $300 million now. Guys, with the rise of inflation, the price is only going to go up. You have to understand that wages have not kept up with inflation. So you're going to begin seeing actors now going forward in Hollywood and saying, well, listen, you're charging more for movie tickets and money is not worth what it was once worth. I'm so serious. Like, one of the ways that they will, like, Hollywood will be generating more money is ticket prices are going up. Ticket prices are going up, and it's going up globally. The cost of media is going up. I made a post recently, a couple of weeks ago, maybe it was a month ago, where I basically said, I polled people. I said that, Netflix will cost $30 within the next 5 years. And a lot of people responded and said that it's going to be way more than that. All right? Like, don't be surprised when Netflix goes up to like $40 or $50. And within 10 years, hands down. All right? I think it was 10 years. I think I said like within the next 10 years, Netflix will cost $30. And people were like, no, bro, you're underestimating it way too much. It's gonna be it's more like 50. Like, hands down, Netflix will cost $50 within the next 10 years. Netflix will cost $50, and within the next 5 years, Netflix will go up to $30. Like, we know that for a fact. There is no way, absolutely no way. But wages are naturally also going to have to go up for people to survive. So these shows, they're going to see the production costs go up. They can play with AI as much as they want and try to replace people as much as they want, but it's not as much as there's so many limitations. All right, they can use AI to replace background actors and so forth, and there are consequences for doing that. They can use CGI to make it look like people are there that are not actually there. And they're going to do these things, of course, 100%. They're probably already doing it. But regardless of that, it's still costing them money to produce these things. And they can't afford it. All right. Look at what Deadpool has done. Deadpool has almost made $1.3 billion. It's basically a buddy comedy about Deadpool and Wolverine go on an epic adventure. We used to have lots of these movies in the 80s, and they did amazingly well, where you had basically two guys who went on an adventure. Remember Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure? Do you remember Harold and Kumar go to White Castle? You know, buddy cop comedies, you know, like with Eddie Murphy, like Beverly Hill Cop, you know, Jackie Chan, you know, Rush Hour. These are very important things, and they generated lots of money where you get two guys together, The Odd Couple, all right, Perfect Strangers. It's interesting when you have shows about men and working together and there's friction between them, but eventually, you know, they come together. You know, something funny about Deadpool. I don't know. They say that Wolverine never really liked Deadpool, but Deadpool loved Wolverine. In fact, in the comic books, Wolverine's DNA, the X-Men go around destroying like all of Wolverine's DNA that's left over after he dies. Spoiler, he dies in the comics. And, you know, the last remnants of his DNA, it's given to Deadpool by this guy. And he's like, all right, here, you take it, you know, because you're the one who really loved him. And Deadpool really thinks about it carefully whether or not he should use the DNA to clone Wolverine. And it's just kind of crazy, like the relationship that can exist between men. I'll tell you something. When you have a brother, when you have a true brother, you know, the things that you pass through, the love that men will share as brothers is always going to be greater than the love between a man and a woman. Because only a man knows what another man has passed through. I'm just being honest. And I'm not saying it's always like that, but it's typically like that. Because a relationship when men are friends, you know, when you have a brother, that's your relationship is not conditional. Yet, but the relationship between men and women, that is conditional. And as a result of that, you know, it can go very easily. But when you have a relationship that's lasted for decades with a good friend as a man, that is something special. That is something very, very special.
By the Americans.
This includes Nvidia, which has been caught in the crosshairs of the US-China chip war. Due to US sanctions, Nvidia only makes available downgraded versions of its GPUs to the Chinese market. Despite that, the chip giant has not been left out of the Wukong boom. In an unconventional move, it offers bundles to let buyers get the game with the purchase of one of its select GPUs, a promotion not extended to those in China. Industry observers said given the game's popularity and demand, Chinese developers will have more incentive to find ways to get into the growing market.
The game, developing the game, playing the game has become a tech feast. It actually encourages grassroots, bottom-up investment, technology, and knowledge to develop more advanced chips in the future. Because now in the past, you know, it was always top down, so the Chinese government would heavily invest in the chip industry, right? But then you realize whatever the government-driven initiatives would normally not lead to somewhere productive, and therefore, this kind of bottom-up factor, when working with the top-down factor, I'm thinking that's what the policymakers are thinking in their mind. That would lead to something down the track, which is the advanced chips manufacturing capabilities in the future.
The move comes amid efforts to advance China's computing capacity. The city government of Beijing, for instance, in April said it will provide subsidies to Chinese companies to buy locally made GPUs as it seeks to achieve greater control of the supply of intelligent computing resources.
So let's chat more about this and bring in CNA's Lauren Wong, who is based in Beijing. So, Lauren, we can tell that a lot of positive feedback on the game. We see that it clearly enhances China's soft power. But we also heard from your report, and based on that, that it may even have implications for China's tech self-reliance, and at the same time is also welcomed by the authorities. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, well, it's very much in line with what we've been seeing the past couple years. Dating back to 2018, the US sanctions on advanced computing and semiconductors have only heightened. And in the case of GPUs, which is not only used for gaming but also AI processing, Chinese firms have had to get creative. And most recently, we've seen some Chinese AI firms mix GPUs using different chip tech, mixing different chip tech to individual AI servers.
Women have made quite some bad decisions, guys. They've made some really bad decisions. They've basically said, hey, guys, we don't want you. We don't need you. And what a lot of guys are doing is they're basically just playing games. This is happening in China as well. You have basically the SIP economy in China is collapsing, and men are taking their disposable income and they're just using it for food and fun. And when men stop thinking about or worrying about getting married, dating, or having children, that everything changes, because then you end up in a situation where men have tons of money. Women don't know what it's like to be a man. Women don't know what it's like to have to plan for a future, to have enough money so that you can marry someone, so that you can take care of someone. They don't know about these things. They don't care about these things because they've never been in this position. The thing is that when a man doesn't worry about this, a guy will spend 10 years living happily and comfortably while sleeping on a mattress. It's honestly true. It's very true. A lot of men are happy sleeping on a mattress on the floor, or in some cases, just sleeping on the floor itself. Like, there's an entire group of guys on this channel, specifically in the MWA community, who just like sleeping on the floor. They love the floor, all right? No mattress, nothing. Some guys have a mattress on the floor. Some guys, and there's a bunch of guys who just sleep on the damn floor entirely, and they will never stop sleeping on the floor, all right? And that's luxury for them, because for the average man, simplicity, or rather simplicity is luxury. This is not the same for women. This is why men who do not get married, don't have children, walk away, or a lot of these guys going their own way, they end up with tons of disposable income because they don't have to worry about, the stress of a family, of having a wife and kids. And these things, they can focus on themselves, their hobbies, and things that they enjoy. A lot of guys walked away from society years ago, sometimes decades ago, and they are thriving. If so many of us basically had said 20, 30 years ago, or in some cases for some of you younger guys, 10 years ago. For me, it's 20 years ago. For some of you, it's 30 years ago. For some of you, maybe 40 years ago. And some of you, for many of us, if we had said, even decades ago, yeah, I'm not going to worry about being in a relationship. I have no real focus on being with a woman or having children. They're not interested in me. They're interested in Chad and Tyrone. And if I want physical intimacy, I'll go overseas to another country and get that, or date. I'll go over to another country. Instead, I'm just going to focus on myself and my own happiness. A lot of us would never have gone to college. We wouldn't have worked backbreaking jobs that only destroyed our bodies but did not help our wealth. We would have lived happier and simpler lives, okay? We definitely would not have listened to the boomers and gotten ourselves mixed up with tons of student loan debt. That's the honest to goodness reality. But as a result of what many of us have gone through, we've gained wisdom. And now I'm able to share a lot of the wisdom that I've gained with you. And that's why I can tell you that you should be investing in skills and investing in yourself. That's one of the best investments that you can make, is investing in yourself, especially in these crazy and hard times. So guys, if you're enjoying this video, subscribe to the Angry Guy Clubhouse on Substacks, and also dive in, and you can dive into podcasts, Gen X stories, and more over in the Clubhouse. You also get access to our free digital nomad blueprint, which is linked in the description, and there are a bunch of other guides and all kinds of other stuff on wealth building and more. I post, and just general stuff. I post so much over there. It's a mix of stuff like that you would find on YouTube and even more. So go and check that out. It is lit. And you should also see like something popping up on your screen at the end that allow you to just click on it and head over there. But yeah, guys, this is crazy. This anti-feminist game, Black Myth Wukong, you know, has triggered a buying spree for gaming components in China. And this is kind of like this is basically a sign of things to come as more men move away from picking up, like basically voting with their wallets. And it's going to become very tight soon because as the economy crashes, right now we really have a 33% unemployment rate. That's what someone wrote, and it's absolutely true. We really have more like a 33% unemployment rate. It's very, very bad. Over 30 million men are actually not working. They say 7 million men. The media keeps saying 7 million. It's really over 30 million men who are not working, able-bodied men who are not working. And it's only going to get harder from here. And women are basically going to be left with the brunt of it, where they're going to be left picking up the pieces. There's not going to be men to come and rescue them this time around to subsidize their living when the floor falls out. It's just not going to happen. We are headed for very, very hard times, guys. Very, very hard times. We're already in hard times with hyperinflation while they tell us that everything is going great. Right now tyranny is running wild. And men do not have a dog in the fight because of what women in society have done to men. A man that does not have love for country or family will fight for neither. And women in Western society don't know how to encourage men to get what they want. They only know how to use anger, disdain, shaming, sign language, shame, insults, guilt, gaslighting, nagging because they need to be right. And now it's all going to fall back. You're going to have a lot of women over the next 5 years that are going to find themselves, homeless, destitute, living in shelters, in their cars, on the streets, even in the woods. It's going to be really hard because the government can't even pay its bill. The government's broke right now. So it's going to be a nightmare out there, guys. But yeah, let me know what you guys think regarding all of this anti-feminist game, Black Myth Wukong triggers buying spree for gaming components. Do you agree that this is only going to lead to more men walking away, playing games like this, voting with their wallets, and rejecting games like Concord that now have cost, woke games like Concord that were littered with feminist propaganda, and it's now cost Sony like maybe $200 to $300 million. Let me know your thoughts. We'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA Men walking away. And cheers.